Hello, hello everyone. Give it just a minute so I can see your comments. So if you are tuning in live, say hello. If you are tuning into the replay, say hello. Let me know who's here. And you can just jot in any questions you have around muscle testing. Hi, Dana. Hi, Misty. Hello, hello. Glad you are here. We'll wait just a few moments to see how many people show up, and not to see how many people show up, but to give people a few moments to show up. Hi, Shannon. And then we'll dive in. So my plan for today is to answer questions, walk you through 2 different types of muscle testing, and then to do a clearing on any blocks you might have to muscle testing yourself. Hi, Denny, am I saying it right? I hope so. Cindy, hi, hello. I always call Cindy my long lost friend. We went to graduate school together in Miami, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 lifetimes ago, it feels like. So good to see you, my dear. Okay, so drop in your questions. What do you want to know about muscle testing? What are your biggest stuck points? Many of you I've already taught how to muscle test, so I know you've practiced some. Some of you might be brand new to it, and that's awesome. But drop in your questions. And typically with these, I'm open to answering any questions that you have around the work that I do, trapped emotions, things like that, that feel like lingering. And so you can ask any question you like. That's what this space is for. And if you are listening on replay, let me know you're here. Drop in any questions. I will come back in and answer questions that show up. Because this is such an important topic. I really, truly believe learning to muscle test, which is just connecting to your subconscious mind, is a profound shift in your own awakening, your own connection to self. And it's like this little bridge to your intuition. Okay, good questions. Hi, Kat. Ooh, good stuff coming in. Good. Okay. Looks like I can pin questions. I want to do that. I have some good ones coming in. Hi, Allison. Good stuff. Okay, let's get started. Hi, Jay. Good to see you. Someone I've known even longer than Cindy. Cindy, it's possible. All right, beauties, let's dive in. I've got a huge screen, just so you know. My husband is a computer techie person, and so I'm always looking all like this. It's probably way more than I need, but we had it, so here it is. That's what you get when your husband builds you a computer. So muscle testing in its essence is just very simply tapping into your unconscious mind. So your unconscious mind knows everything about you. It is the part of you that is along for the soul's journey. So I always say it knows about your past lives, and it also knows what you had for breakfast in 1978 on Halloween morning. It knows all the things. What you can't do with muscle testing is predict the future, right? Because it hasn't happened yet. So what you're tapping into is the wisdom of your body. And there's so many ways I could go with this. So I'll get there though. I'll get to all the pieces I want to share with you. So what you're doing is tapping into your unconscious mind. It is kind of like your internal lie detector test. So you want to phrase questions, Shannon, in a yes or no way. Now, when we play with some of the ways to muscle test, you'll hear that today, and you'll hear some slight variations, but you always want to muscle test in a yes or no way. This is the way that I think about it. If you have a chiropractor who muscle test is like with your arm, what they're looking for is strong or weak response, right? So if it's strong, it's a yes. If it's weak, it's a no. So let's go ahead and practice. So I'll teach you all how to do this, and then I'm going to go in and answer all your questions. And if there's any other questions about tapping into this, the unconscious or subconscious mind, please put those in there too. So the first thing you want to do when you are going to muscle test is establish a baseline, because your orientation or the way in which you muscle test can get disrupted, and things that can disrupt it are dehydration, lack of sleep, really need an adjustment, like especially through the cervical spine. If you tend to get really knotty through the cervical spine, you can have a misfiring in the nervous system, which leads to inconsistent answers. And so if you are feeling nice and aligned and you're nice and hydrated and you want to muscle test something, establish your baseline question. Your baseline question is going to be, show me a yes, or my name is. Okay, so the first technique we're going to use is called the sway test. I believe this one is the absolute easiest to learn because it takes any muscle out of it. And the other ones really have to depend on how strong you're holding. And I tend to overanalyze. And so if you are like me and overanalyze, I would start with the sway test. If you're someone who is like, nope, I trust in a muscle, then you'll learn and practice the second technique that I'll teach you today. So I want to invite you to stand up. I'm going to sit down because I have mastered it sitting down, but you want to stand up as a beginner. Your feet about hip width apart, arms down by your side. Take a nice deep breath and just let go. You don't want to close your eyes because you will begin to get a little wobbly. But if it helps you go inward, then you can like drop your gaze to the ground just to kind of settle into your body. And what you'll find is there's a little muscle activation to keep you upright. You're activating some of your leg muscles. Maybe your back gets tight every once in a while, and you're probably a little bit wobbly. So just stay standing for a moment as I explain this. Humans naturally move towards truth, love, and light. And we move away from things like war, horrific incidents. Like someone tells you really bad news, you go, right? Someone comes at you and is like, oh my God, I love you. I haven't seen you in so long. And they have their arms open and you embrace them, right? As long as you're feeling the love too. So I'm going to be quiet to let you practice a few times. We're going to get your baseline. I want you to settle into saying things like, my name is, and say your truth, or love and light. So we'll start with a truth or a forward reaction. So stand in the way I described, arms down, deep breath in, and say, my name is, or truth, love, and light, and just notice what happens in your body. What'd you guys notice? Let me know if that worked for you. And then let's try the opposite. So no one here is named Bob. Say, my name is Bob. Notice what happens. Or you could say war, tragedy, and notice what happens. So chat in how this is feeling for you, how it's unfolding. And let me know if you're reversed. Every once in a while, people get reversed. Okay. Hi, Veronica. Hi, Hope. Hey, Mitch. Good to see you. Okay. So Mitch asks, is it important to clear ground, ask permission of your unconscious or source to get the ego out of the way? You don't have to do that. If you are feeling like frazzled, like it's been a day, then do that, right? Because we'll talk about some of the things that mess up muscle testing other than needing an adjustment or being dehydrated. An intense emotional state, feeling overwhelmed, or just any intense emotional state, anywhere on the spectrum that you are, will interfere with an accurate muscle test. So this is why you don't do things like, should I take another job? Or should I marry this person? Or, you can't ask like super big questions. Do I have cancer? Like you don't ask that kind of stuff because there's a number of reasons, but you can't tap into the future. You can't predict the future. And when there's an intense and emotional response going in your body, you can get a misfiring. All right, Mitch, so I will correct you at the end today to get you back in line. So Allison said it worked, could feel me moving ever so slightly. Yes, it is a gentle sway. So you can look at my shoulders here. So my name is Liz. It's very subtle. My name is Bob. It's a very gentle movement. Yes, so Hope says I do the sway test a lot. I say my name and someone else's to complete the baseline testing. If I don't respond yes to my name, then I know my energy field is reversed. Correct. So I will reverse anybody. I will get you back in order for anybody that is that now. And if you are working on practicing this and you're like, man, I'm always reversed, then you may have some trapped energies that cause you to continually move into being reversed. But you could play with running a magnet from your forehead to the base of your neck. You can just even use like a refrigerator magnet and say out loud, a yes is positive. I'm sorry, a yes is forward, a no is backwards, and some other affirming words that just kind of organically come to reorient you in the proper direction. Learning to trust the movement will take time. Yes, 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 yes. Shannon, the very first time I learned this technique was in like 2002. And so it's 20 years later. I had an acupuncturist taught me how to do it, and she would have me write down all of these little areas of my life where I was confused and wanted answers and fold them up and then pick up the piece of paper and do this muscle testing technique and then write down the answer. And, I didn't trust it. I didn't want to believe some of the things that she asked me or that I asked on there that I got the no's to. And so I let it go. It can take time. Remember, this is a settling into your intuition. It's this bridge to a deep inner knowing. So let's talk about so you establish your baseline, you get your forward yes, your backwards no, and then you ask your question. So what do we ask questions about? You can ask questions around anything to do with yourself in this moment. Do I have a trapped emotion I need to clear? Do I have a trapped energy that is ready to leave? Do I need some copaiba essential oil right now? My body just tested no, I don't need it. Do I need some lavender right now? Nope. You probably would never do this, but do I need water right now? I don't. As I meditate today, will this crystal assist me in getting grounded? Yes, it will. So asking questions about self, asking questions about the present moment, because that's really all we have. If you want to say like, do I have past life material that needs to be cleared? You certainly can ask that question. but it really is about tapping into the energy of right in this moment. And so people often come to me and they say, well, I've got this job opportunity and it seems pretty good, but I don't know, like my current job is okay and they pay me well, but I'm kind of burned out. Why don't you muscle test for me these two options, right? Because in 5 minutes, the answer could change, right? So let's say I did do that, which I wouldn't do that, but let's say I did. And I was like, you know what? You should definitely take that new job because it's going to be wonderful for you. And I get a big, strong yes. And then 5 minutes later, the person who was going to hire you fires 10 people in the department and says, ooh, we're going to hire this person and he or she's going to come in and clean up the mess I just created, right? So we can't predict the future. Humans have free will, so things can change like this. And you also can't diagnose things. You can ask about reactions. You can ask about inflammation in the body. You can ask even if there's a presence of like a pathogen at times, but you can't use a diagnosis like cancer, right? So the subconscious mind wants to protect you and keep you safe and often doesn't register words that we use in our everyday language around things like this. So you might get a contraction where there actually is a yes. It's also just dangerous to do. All right, so bring in the questions. So Kat says, I've had a lot of trouble getting clear answers lately. I'm not quite sure of this. So I would, when you do ask a question, just ask once. Don't ask like 16 times and like try to take the average of what is there. Just ask, ask and move on. And ask with small things, like really ask about your supplements, ask about what your body wants to eat today, how it wants to move today, how it wants to meditate today. How do you want to show up for yourself? Like in the morning time, I'll often ask like, all right, body, do you want to sit in the infrared sauna? Do you want to go on a walk? Like, do I want to do some yoga? Unless I'm having like a strong desire to do something already, I might ask really what my body wants to do. But I'm not asking questions around my future or big things like that. So when you're building this trusting relationship with self, start really small. And you build and build and build so you can ask the deeper, bigger things. Again, not about the future, but more of, do I have some energy work that needs to be done? Is this possible treatment or therapy going to be beneficial for my physical body? Things like that. And if you have like a specific question that you are trying to get clarity on and you want to chat that in, I'll see if I can word it in a way that'll be a little bit more clear. Getting really clear on the way you ask the question is also important, because if you are asking a question where the end result could be multiple scenarios, you're not going to get a clear answer either, because there's too much going on, right? So you want to narrow it down. Very simply, like with my supplements, I mean, I'll take lavender right now just so you can see it, but I'll pick up a supplement and just hold it. I won't even ask a question. I'll just see, how does the body respond to it? If I get a no, I won't even ask a question. I'm just, all right, that's not for me right now. Right, but let's say I got a yes and I go, okay, well, I do need some zinc today. Do I need 1 drop? Do I need 2 drops? Do I need 3 drops? Do I need 4? Until I find that sweet spot of where I get a yes versus a no, and then I will take that amount. If you're not responding at all, sometimes there can be like an energy buildup that happens that will help you get into the body. And so you may need an energy clearing to help you get into that space. But if you're just not responding at all, I would drink some water, see if you can get into your body, take a little quiet time, maybe do a little breath work, and sense even deeper into the subtle movement that might be showing up for you. But sometimes we're so stuck up here that it can be hard to get into the body and really feel it. Sometimes I'll get a sort of sideways response, and that typically means I'm not asking the question in the right way. All right, I'm going to look through and answer questions. So Cindy, how do you differentiate between true muscle testing versus your pulse? Your pulse should not move you forward or backward. I mean, you can check in and feel your pulse, but you should not get this forward, backward movement that we're talking about. Okay, it worked. Slightly moving forward. Yes, learning to trust the movement can take some time, for sure. And so Kate got a not yet. It's not time for you to see. When I asked to be shown in my meditation, my higher self has jokes. Yes. So Kate, you've moved beyond muscle testing if you're receiving messages, right? So that is an intuitive download or an intuitive hit. And, you certainly can trust that. So fantastic. So Hope, this is a good point. I love this. I find tapping helps when I'm unclear on an answer because sometimes my mind wants to give the answer. Yeah, so if you're muscle testing again, things that are a bit triggering or you really don't want the answer, you can use a tapping technique, RRT or EFT, to create some neutrality, right? So you might say like, I don't want to hear this answer. I really don't want to hear this answer. I'm so tired of this answer. I'm sick of it. To get out all of the like static around it. I use pendulums when I feel like I'm in the way. Absolutely. 100%. Yes, yes, yes. Beautiful. One day I'll teach about tapping. That should be one of our calls. Fantastic, Mitch. All right, so any other questions, bring them in. Let me teach you the other technique that you might see your chiropractor using or a physical therapist sometimes. And I forgot to say this, but muscle testing, like the fancy word for it, is applied kinesiology. So you will find medical practitioners dating back to like the 1840s using these techniques. And of course, Western medicine hasn't embraced this. But you'll see chiropractors, acupuncturists, physical therapists sometimes, maybe a functional medicine practitioner, I don't know, using these techniques to get clarity and like immediate information on what's going on within the body. So there are over 100 different ways to muscle test, and like sometimes you just not invent ways, but a way lands in your lap. I remember probably 2, maybe 3 years ago, I was sick with the flu. One of the only times in my life I've had the flu, and I was in bed and I couldn't sit up and I had questions that I wanted to be answered. And so I just sat with, what does it feel like in my body to have a yes right now? And I felt the movement along my face forward. What does it feel like in my body to have a no, or to experience a no? And I felt the movement backwards. And so this can show up in any number of ways. So once you get good at feeling that in your body, you can improvise. So this technique, let me figure out the best way to show you. All right, I like doing it with my right hand. You're going to create a loop with your thumb and your pointer finger. Again, this isn't my favorite because there's muscles involved and I tend to overthink. But if that's not you, then this might work for you. And then you're going to take these 3 fingers, and bring it in here, right? So strong is a yes and a weak is a no. So my name is Liz. My name is Bob. My name is Liz. My name is Bob. So you'll see people walking around doing this, ask muscle testing things. They're going through their world asking questions like this. So this is just another form. So let me know if you've used this technique, if you like it, if you don't, what feels more accessible for you. And if you have any other questions, if not, we'll do a clearing. And if I didn't get your question, message me and tell me to find it. I should be able to. Danny, awesome. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. I'm so glad you're here. Fantastic. So you've used fingers, definitely overanalyze it. Yep. Once you find your way, I think you tend to stick with it unless something happens and you can't, right? Like you can't sit up, then you may find a new way. What is supposed to happen with the fingers? Okay, thanks for asking. So when you're applying pressure, you're trying to open this loop like that. So I'm saying, my name is Liz, and I can't open it. So the muscles are staying strong. My name is Bob, and I can open it because it's a non-truth. The muscles go weak. So I hope that helped, Allison. Oh, Kat, sorry, hope that helped, Kat. Yes, so you can practice that particular piece. Glad it's helpful, Shannon, yay. So everyone go around your house, pick up your supplements and play with some easy ways to tap in. Oh, let me give you one other piece. If you have pharmaceuticals that you want to test, don't do it. If you are prescribed a medication and you have said, you know what, I'm going to take this medication because it's the best thing that I can do for this particular problem, land in that decision. Don't second guess it. Any pharmaceutical is going to show up in your body as a no. That is almost universally true as I've played with asking for clients, because there are fillers in medications. So even if the active ingredient in the medication is for your highest good, the filler in the medication may not be. And so you're going to get an incongruent answer. So just don't ask about pharmaceuticals. Either don't take them and go a different path, or take it because it's the best thing that you need to do and land. But for your supplements, you can tap into that for your highest good. Oh, that's interesting. I would never think of muscle testing while driving. Very cool. Thank you, Mitch. Shannon, okay. Yes. Right. There are always side effects with pharmaceuticals. And so it's going to be really hard for the body to answer a strong yes or a strong no. And it may lean towards the no. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't take it, right? Because you have to consider all these other variables, like your quality of life, your longevity, those kinds of things. Okay. Let's do, any other questions? Go ahead and chat them in. Let's do a quick clearing. So just take a nice deep breath and give yourself permission to let go of anything that's in the way of clear and accurate muscle testing. Okay, so we delete, uncreate, and destroy any and all low frequency energy that is blocking you from seeing, experiencing, and being in a clear and accurate muscle test. We do that across all time, space, dimension, and reality, all the way to 0 point. If your muscle testing is reverse, we set the intention to bring in awareness to the nervous system that a forward movement or a strong muscle response is a yes, and a backwards or weak muscle response is a no. And anything in the way of that, delete, uncreate, and destory across all time, space, dimension, and reality, all the way to 0 point. And again, if this is a repetitive problem, look into doing some energy clearing, getting more frequent chiropractic care. Yeah. Okay. Any other low frequency energy that is in the way of you accurately muscle testing, delete, uncreate, and destory? Any other low frequency energy that is in the way of you trusting yourself, delete, uncreate, and destory across all time, space, dimension, and reality, all the way to 0 point. All right. All right, my dears. Thank you for being here. I love this space and showing up in this way. It's so fun. Again, if you are listening to the recording, say hi and ask your questions. I will hop in and answer them. Or if anybody who's live has a question and wants later on and forgets about it right now, you can certainly hop in and leave it. And we'll tune in. All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're so welcome. See you in a few weeks, I think. We're doing shadow work next. Bye-bye.